I'm Gary Pilger from the Canton Car Museum, and we're in downtown Canton for our annual show. This show is our first non-static display, I guess we'd call it. We got the idea that all the car shows, you just sit around your car in a lawn chair and polish it if you got some time, and that's about it. So we're encouraging, there's 5 shows in one across Stark County today, and there's from Minerva to Maslin, there's 5 different shows. We're just one here. So most of the cars you see are just passing through. They're picking up a dash plaque here and moving on to the next location to get another dash plaque. Some are staying here. So they'll be moving in and out all day long, and you'll see cars on the move today.
Hi, I'm here with Bob Lichty, who's the director of the Canton Classic Car Museum. And today we have not only the car show going on, but we also have the Lincoln Highway Cruise. Tell us a little bit about what you have going on.
Well, what we decided to do, since the Lincoln Highway is the first paved transcontinental highway in the United States, just happens to go right through this whole part of Ohio. And a lot of us have been doing car shows in the area for quite a while, so we thought it'd be great to combine them all on the same day with about a 30-mile cruise in between the 5 different shows. So that's what we did. And the people can come and go all day long, pick up a dash plaque at each show. The plaques interlock so they can make a bigger plaque, and kind of encourage them to get the cars out and have them moving around so you can enjoy the sight and the sound and the smell of them, as well as just to see them.
That's such an excellent idea. This is the first time you've tried this with all these car shows together, right?
Right. Canton, Maslin, and Minerva have had car shows established for quite a while, but because we added the Lincoln Highway element, then Wakeham, Ford, and Perry, and Nicole's Restaurant in East Canton each came down and added another show, so we have 5. And it really gives people a lot to do in between. So it should be something that they can, rather than just sitting beside their car in a lawn chair all day, they can get out and enjoy their car and see lots of more of them, and also see them while they're moving.
And it looks like I've seen a variety of cars. I've seen everything from really the older brass era cars to muscle cars. What all have you seen come here through today?
Well, that's just right. There's a pre-teens Cadillac right behind us. I think it's an 04. There's a 32 Cadillac V16 sitting over here, and a Rolls Royce 64 GTO, and then there's some street rods. And we even had a couple of the late model custom compacts, the lowered Hondas and stuff. So any car's welcome.
Excellent. Well, we're going to look around and get to look at all the cars.
Okay, I hope you do. It's really fun.
Well, thank you so much.
Thanks.
We're standing here with Bill Schumacher and the Schumacher brothers, and they have a 1907 Cadillac, and they're going to tell us a little bit about it.
Okay. My brother over here, he wanted to restore a car. So actually what we did about 8 years ago, we went out to what they call the Auburn auction. And we didn't find the car at the auction, but we went down below Fort Wayne a little bit, and this was in a barn down there, and we called it the basket case, because when we brought it back, we didn't have wheels that worked, we didn't have an engine that worked. We made many parts, everything from the head, part of the spokes. My son done all the painting on the car. His name's Phil Schumacher. So the car is really kind of a family restored vehicle. It's a 10 horsepower, 1 cylinder, water cooled, go about 15 to 18 mile an hour. What did the car cost new? Approximately $1,100. Back in 1907, that was a lot of money. Today, the car may be worth between $40,000 and $50,000. We made part of the spokes. The other car we restored, we made all the spokes, and they are tapered oval hickory. So it was a lot of fun, and we're kind of proud of it.
We're standing here at the Maslin Museum Car Show, and we're talking with Don Berenger, who has this beautiful 51 Chevy. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
It's brown and cream, same as the one I had when I was a senior in high school, so not the same one, but just like it. So we went hunting one and found this one in DeSoto, Missouri.
Oh. How long have you had it?
About 13 years.
Fantastic. Did you do any, in terms of restoration, when you found it, what shape was it?
It was pretty much right the way it is now. We put the wide white walls on it and the original hubcaps and so on, but other than that, pretty much the way we found it.
You get out and drive it a lot?
We drive it about every weekend.
That's fantastic. It looks like a lot of fun to drive.
It is a lot of fun to drive. Gets a lot of head turns.
Yeah, here we are still at the Maslin Car Show, and here we are back with Cecil Joseph. We taped his car back at the show in Canton in February, and this is about 3 or 4 months later. And it's a beautiful sunny day outside, and he's got his truck parked out here. And I mentioned, I said, I bet people have been coming up all day long.
All day long, yeah. It draws a lot of attention because it's different.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a car, you know, and it's different.
Exactly. It's so beautifully restored with all the paint job on it that I'm sure, Well, so glad to see you again.
Oh, okay. Good to
Thank
see
you.
You betcha.
There goes Cecil Joseph driving his Farm Fresh Divco truck. You drive it standing up, of course. We're here with Don Wassel from Maslin, and he's got this beautiful 1958 Buick Super, and I commented how much I love Buicks, of course he knows, and just the car like this. Tell me a little bit about the car.
The 58 Buick is it's a Series 56R, which stands for Riviera. It's called a pillarless hardtop. The unique part about a 58 Buick, of course, is that they were the most ostentatiously decorated car from the standpoint of the complement of stainless and plating, chrome plating on them. They're noted to be the most heavily chromed and stainless steel addressed car that Buick built. The car will perform easily up to speeds of in excess of 100 miles an hour. And of course, it's extremely heavy, so consequently it does handle quite well and holds the road. They call them the Queen Mary of the highways. It's sort of like driving a battleship down the road. Found this one out of Ohio. It needed some finishing up. It took me the best part of a year to get the car completed from the standpoint of the mechanics. Weighs in the neighborhood of 4,480 pounds. It has a wheelbase just 8 inches shy of the Roadmaster, which again is an extremely large car, appointed exactly the same as the Super. It's a 300 horse, 364 cubic inch. I enjoy the ownership and always will own a Buick in my life.
And of course, it's not just the 58 Buick you brought out today, but actually your wife was nice. I guess your wife drove the 58
She drove
Buick.
the Buick.
Camera shy, she's over here, but but she drove the Buick over, and you drove this 47 Plymouth over, convertible coupe. It's, tell us a little bit about it.
These cars were noted to be very dependable cars. They're being a convertible, it's limited production. They made approximately 5,000 per year from the years 1946 through 1948. This particular car was restored less than 3 years ago. I finished the car mechanically. It has a straight inline L-head 6. It's a 95 horsepower. It's of course a standard shift, and it's appointed with just about any of the accessories they had back then, from the fog lights to the heater, and they call them a deluxe under the seat heater defroster combination, and it has a push button AM radio. I think that style-wise, you can't find anything any more pleasing to the eye than what they call the baby Chrysler.
I have a quick question for you. Comparing driving these two cars, the 58 Buick with the Plymouth, driving around the freeway, differences you notice?
No comparison from the standpoint of course, the horsepower rating on the Buick. The Buick would easily go at speeds of 80 to 110 if you want. These cars are cruisers at about 65 to 70 to be comfortable. You can do better than that with them, but a little inline six like this is best to keep it at sensible, 55 to 65 highway speeds.
Here we are with Beverly Denholm from the Massillon Museum, and they're just wrapping up the car show we've had here. And tell us a little bit about how many cars came out today.
Well, actually, we don't have a total count. We had probably 75 pre-registered, and we had more than that just come today and register. So we had probably close to 200 cars. Did you see our car that we have? Okay, this is called the Jewel. It was actually made right here in Maslin, Ohio. It's a 1906 model. And we know that there are 6 of them in the world today. And so we've got one of the Originals. Yes, it is owned by the Maslin Museum.
Do you get out and drive it a lot more? Is it
Actually, no, it does run, but we normally just take it out to show it on for a car show.
I'm Reen Wiles. We live in East Canton, Ohio, about 5 miles east of Canton. We bought this car in May of last year, 2001. It's a 1960 Corvair 500. We are told we're the third owner. We bought the car in this particular condition. We really haven't done anything to update it at this time. My wife owned a 1965 Corvair two-door hardtop when she graduated high school. And after that time, this is the first time that we've owned a Corvair. Yes, there is a lot of young kids that's never seen this car before. They don't know what actually it is, and they don't know that it's a rear-engine vehicle. The 1960 Corvair has a gas-fired heater. It runs on gasoline, and it's my understanding that that's the only year that they used that heater.
All right, my name is Harley Evans. I'm from Hartville, Ohio. And this is my 1939 Chevrolet. And I built this about 3 years ago. It's got a 350 Chevrolet engine in it, air conditioning, power steering, power brakes. I've done all the work myself except painting it. And I had a friend paint the car. We drive it around all the time, go to Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Southern Ohio. I built the car actually 3 years ago. This is the third summer for it, and I've got pretty near 3,000 miles on it. I got a Mustang front end under it, and we really like it. Me and my wife enjoy it. We travel a lot in the car.
My name's Louis Marino. I live here in Canton, Ohio, and this is a 1950 Studebaker. This was the first year for this body style, and it has kind of a unique front end on it. It's what they call a bullet nose. And back in the 50s when these things were popular, they had a little propeller that they used to put on the front to make it spin when it was going down the road. And it's got the, it's a 6-cylinder. It's got these air vents here on the side. And other than that, it's just kind of a fun car to drive. It's kind of different. Oh, I've only had this for less than a year. But I got a 48 Hudson at home and a 48 Cadillac two-door and a 40 Buick. But this one's kind of different because it's kind of unique. They got the design from this from a P-38 airplane. They wanted the front of this to look like, after the war, they got interested in cars like this, and they wanted it to look like an airplane traveling down the road. So that was the idea in this front end, the way it was.
My name is Bill Haney. I live down in Mineral City. I kind of took a liking to this little car. I thought somebody should restore it because the poor thing, you know, it was sitting in the field when I bought it. I bought it down in North Carolina and I brought it home on a flatbed tractor trailer. And that was about 1970, 78, I guess. And I had it totally restored. I rebuilt everything except the brakes. I never touched the brakes. But rocker moldings, all the stainless is original. And I had the bumpers chromed. Rebuilt the motor, recorded the radiator, rebuilt the transmission, and I take it to a lot of shows. When we go to shows, people kind of look at it because it's the only one usually at every show. Kind of unique car. So.
My name is Harry Bernard, and I'm from North Canton, Ohio. And my wife is sitting in the back seat, and her name is Joanne. We acquired this car in 1999. It was formerly owned by the Peterson Publishing Company from San Francisco, and the car was purchased out of their museum. And basically we bought the car to do a lot of touring, and so we had it serviced at a reputable Rolls-Royce dealer up in Rochester, New York. And since 1999, we put approximately 10,000 miles in this car. Everything on this car is original. The carpets, the interior, the wood, with the exception of 4 tires. We have a power-operated divider window, and I'm using it not to hear her make so many suggestions, and of course, she's working it from her end to hear the comments that I'm making.
My name is Dan West. I'm from Canton, Ohio. This 53 Buick Skylark belongs to my wife and myself. We've owned it this is our third summer, and we've really enjoyed the car. The 53 Skylark was Buick's 50th anniversary car, which was introduced as a special edition. It was like 1,680 of them made. They were custom bodied at the factory from the Roadmaster series. If you'll notice, there isn't any portholes on the car. And the roof has been clipped, or chopped, I should say, lowered. And the side of the car, the wheel wells have been opened to reveal the rear wheels. The 53 Buick Skylark was Buick's first year for the overhead valve engine, V8. And this particular car, we looked around a long time for a Skylark that we could afford. This belonged to an elderly gentleman out in Toledo, Ohio. And what turned me on about this car is it has all the original equipment on it. It's all here, and it hasn't been molested with or anything. It's original drivetrain, original engine, numbers match, and it's just been a great car. My wife and I have really enjoyed it. Oh, the other thing that's worth noting too, a lot of people that don't know anything about this car, the painted wheel wells are standard on this car. That wasn't something that I decided to do. That's the way the car came from the factory.
Hi, my name's Novak Marku. This happens to be my 1965 Sport Fury convertible. Well, actually, it's not just mine, it's the entire Marku family. We have a lot of sentimental value in this car because the family's gone out since my kids were little, going out and getting sundaes, having a blast, burning a little rubber every once in a while when the police aren't around. And it's really become a family project. Now we went from one car, we now have 3 cars. My son turned 16 this month, he's getting a 1973 Dart. But this is a car that I built from scratch after I had a heart attack. I realized, hey, I'm gonna do one of my dreams. So at 42, I had my first heart attack, and I've been building cars ever since. This isn't a number matching cars. This is actually a car that I built more or less to my own specifications. The 426 is in it is a 1965 block, and it's been slightly modified and slightly tuned just to get a little more horsepower out of it. Once again, like I said, this car isn't made to spec. What I did is I changed the color. This was originally a gold car with a gold interior, which was really ugly and worn out. I wanted to go with the dark red, maroon, and also an all black interior. Everything's new from the engine, the transmission to the rear end. It's got 355 gears, sure grip.
The Canton Police Department purchased this brand new in 1937. It's an armor-plated, bulletproof, up to 45 caliber, weighs 6,000 pounds. And the glass is 1.1 inch thick. There's an arsenal in the back seat, and the little ports in the windows are to stick the guns with the tear gas grenades out through. And what was going on in Canton, Ohio at the time, it was known as Little Chicago and had a lot of gambling and speakeasies and everything else during the 20s. But in the 30s, it was steel strikes basically, and there were some pretty violent steel strikes with Republic and Timken here in town. And they bought this just for that purpose. The last time it was used was in 1958. And that was some bank robbers who were holed up in a farmhouse in Louisville. And they drove this up supposedly through a hail of gunfire. But I've seen this car naked and there's no bullet holes. So they were just lousy shots, I guess. But they lobbed tear gas into the farmhouse and everybody came out with their hands up.
This is Chris, and we're from Wadsworth, Ohio.
And what kind of car you have here?
This is a 1908 Renault.
Wow, where'd you get it?
Out of Michigan. Yeah.
Excellent. Do you get out and drive a lot, or?
As much as we can. We've driven about 10,000 miles.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's like, have you been to all the shows today yet, or?
No, we're headed to the next one down the street.
Very good. Okay.
Fantastic day.
Yeah, it is. It is. Well, thanks for letting us film it.
Sure thing.